Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I made a video a couple days ago asking whether or not you guys wanted to see other things I'm doing in the shop besides the Supra, because the Supra is just kind of on hold right now with everything going on out of Paintworks. And overwhelmingly you guys said, yeah, you guys would love to see anything that I'm doing. So like I said in the last video, I've got Curtis's, the Dirtbag STI here. We are pulling the engine out of this one here. I'll show you. I'm actually gonna build, hopefully. So this engine here is the one that I'm gonna build. It's the same thing. It's a 257. I think it may have dropped the valve. I'm not too sure if it dropped the valve. I'm not too sure what's wrong with that one. I have to still get into it. But we're gonna take this one out, and he sold this one. Now this one here, this is really surprising. This car here, there's a video on the channel about this car. If you guys want to go look at it, it makes close to 500 wheel horsepower, which is extremely surprising now that I'm under it and I'm really into it. Stock header, doesn't have a built header. The motor's been built. It's got forged internals. Stock header, the turbo. You guys can't see it up there, but the wastegate line is melted closed, so that's definitely not working. So the turbo doesn't match up to the flange that's up there. So a couple things that are really surprising about the car. I didn't think that it would have been like that. I thought with the amount of power that it's putting down that it would be a little bit better built. In saying that, it makes a crazy amount of power and it's quick. But we're going to pull this out. He did sell that engine. This one back here, he'd like to have 1,000 horse. I told him I'd build it. I think for you guys down in the States, all you guys build crazy engines and you make big power. What people here in Canada don't realize that you guys are all running E85 at the pumps down there. We don't have that here in Canada. So we run pump gas. 93 pump gas is basically what you can get up here. So you can get 94 in some stations, but 93 is basically what you can get. So you'd like to have 1,000 horse, which is somewhere 850 to the wheels. I don't know what the parasitic loss on this thing being all-wheel drive is. Whether or not we're going to get there with 93, I don't know. I'll probably end up putting meth on it just to keep things cool and kosher. We are going to throw some boost at it. I'd like to throw 40 or 45 pounds of boost at it. So we're definitely going to be putting in billet crank, billet rods, you know what I mean? The best pistons we can find. The heads are going to probably go to head games, get the head games treatment. The block is going to be sleeved. I've talked about this before, and sorry here. Yeah, so the block is going to be sleeved for the new engine. I've talked about this before. If you follow the channel, I like sleeving, especially when it comes to like flimsy aluminum blocks. A lot of guys close deck a Subaru block, which is great. I'm not a Subaru expert by any means. I do like sleeving. I think it's a little bit stronger. And the biggest thing is that I don't like closing off the cooling canals around the pistons, the cooling jackets around the cylinder sleeve. I like to make sure I'm wadding it down there, and it is going to be a daily driver. He's going to drive it every day, so we want to make sure that the engine is going to stay as cool as possible. So that block is probably going to get sleeved. That's why I'm not too concerned if it dropped the valve and did some damage to the cylinder wall, because we're going to machine those cylinder walls out and put some hardened Darton sleeves in there that'll hold any power that we want to throw at it. And then same thing, I'll kind of open up some of the bearings, and I'll get in to show you guys exactly why I'm opening the bearings and what kind of oil we're going to use and that kind of thing. But yeah, for now, we're going to get on this engine, taking this engine out, getting it ready, because the guy's hopefully going to be here this afternoon to pick this one up. So I'm going to drain some fluids and get the rod out and get some of that stuff going. And if I come across anything as I'm going, I'll definitely let you guys know. Okay, so we got the engine out, Curtis's engine out. Bit of a pain in the butt here. This fork is what was causing us the problem pulling it out here. That's what we were struggling with. You saw us on the camera there. There's a pin that comes through here and it slides through, and this fork sits on there. And unlike most of the cars that I work on that are a push, you know what I mean, your Camaros, your Mustangs, your V8s, this is a pull style clutch. So we had to get the piece out of the back of here, the big Allen key, so that we could get to the pin here and then pull that pin out. And the reason that everything was so there's the nut. This nut covers this here, so you can see we had to put a bolt up here in the end. This covers that, so you got to take this out. It gives you access to this, and you got to put a bolt in the end of there and pull it out. And the reason it was such a pain getting out is simple. As you can see, it's got a performance clutch in it. The clutch always worked good. The clutch stopped working on it. That's why we're pulling it out and building the new motor. And you can see that the plates and the friction plates and everything, I don't know if you can see that, are rusted. And they're all rusted. Didn't think that he needed this plate that goes down on the bottom that comes from here over to here. That's a service plate for the bottom of the starter and flywheel. He didn't have that on there, which means water and everything was just flying up underneath here, getting everything wet, causing everything to rust. And like I said, it's pretty rusty. But needless to say, we got it out. Like I said, I'm going to get the other engine on the engine stand here. I'm going to get this one here ripped down, get the things taken off that aren't going with it. The turbo staying. We're going to be selling the turbo. It's an upgraded stock position turbo. We're probably going to take the intake manifold off because the guy that bought it doesn't need that stuff. But also, I'm surprised that this engine made, like I said, it was close to 500 wheel horsepower. I've got a video up of us out playing around in the car. It's got the straight cut gears and the PPG gearbox there. But surprised that it made the power that it made. One, whoever built it before, you can see that the turbo flange doesn't line up correctly with the turbo because it's a stock position turbo with an aftermarket flange. I guess the up pipe here is aftermarket. Also, it does not have a header on it. So it's got this stock Subaru header, which surprised the hell out of me that it made that kind of power with that stock header. And tiny little fuel lines. So this didn't have, it could have an upgraded fuel pump. I haven't been into the tank, but the lines are all stock. The lines that are coming to it weren't very big lines. Like, they're just tiny little lines. So I'm actually surprised that this thing makes the crazy power that it makes, because it's a fast little car. Bulletproof little engine. Like I said, we've had quite a bit of time with this engine in the car and lots of fun. Like, that clutch is going to have to be replaced, but yeah, like I said, we're going to take the intake manifold off. The turbo is going to come off. We sold the short block to actually a guy that bought, Curtis had another Blob-Eye Subaru, and he sold that. And the guy that bought that car spun a rod bearing, so now he's buying this engine to put in that car, and we're going to build one to put in this one here. So it's lots of fun. For now, I'm going to end that video here. I got the engine out. I've got to go do a couple other little things. But I will, like I said, we're going to take that other engine apart. I don't know what's wrong with it yet. I know that there's something wrong with it. Either spun a rod bearing or dropped the valve or something inside there. So it could be pretty catastrophic once I get into it. I don't know until I get into it. But anyway, this one's out. Curtis has a lot of cleaning to do in his engine bay because that is gross. The wiring, like these aftermarket headlights, this entire thing is wiring for his aftermarket headlights that drain the battery. Half the lines here don't go to anything. His wastegate line was melted shut, so the wastegate wasn't working the way it should. But like I said, we'll get that engine bay cleaned up. I'll get the other engine built, and I'll give you videos of that there through the process. Like I said, I got to strip it down. We'll get it over to Competition Automotive. Let Doug and Doug do their work on that stuff. The heads are probably going to go to Head Games. I'm not too sure yet. It's like I said, it's up to Curtis. But for those of you that are new to the channel, we're working on the Dirtbag STI here. This isn't what the channel is about. It's about a '97 Toyota Supra that we are building strictly on the votes of subscribers and giving away once it's done. It is in body and paint. It's being held up there a little bit because Paintworks is so crazy busy. They just don't have room to move it around or get on it. And again, I've said it in multiple videos. They're doing this because they're buddies of mine. They want to help out and be part of the build. I can't obviously ask them not to work on stuff that's making them money to do stuff for me for free. So that's what the channel is about. But you guys wanted to see all the other little things. I got work to do on the Mustang. I got work to do on this thing here. I got a couple other engines to build. So I will give you guys videos as I'm going along. Oh, and for those of you that don't know, Epstein didn't kill himself.